What was your name? I'm sorry. Forrest. What Forrest was describing to me is a test that he took where the screen layout was such that he couldn't see the question. And sometimes the screen takes up so much room you can't see the buttons. And then he couldn't figure out what to do, so he clicked on exit and got a 0 on the exam. If that happens to you from now on, I will provide to you an opportunity. You send me an email. And as long as it's not Friday, 11 minutes to midnight, and you're just desperate, send me an email. And what I will give you is an assignment out of the book. I'll give you a couple of the other case problems that we didn't do to do as an alternative. You do those, you finish them, it'll be 2 of them, so it'll probably be more painful than doing the exam properly right the first time. But I'll give you a couple of case problems to do. You can do those, submit them to me, and I will grade them like I would if it was a class without SAMs. I will grade them, and you'll get your grade on that. And just like SAMs, you get 1 shot. For those of you who know me, I usually give updates, but not to this as a makeup. So if at all possible, make that exam work. Jim? In Excel 1 or other in a different one?
In Excel 1, but I ended up clicking X, and it exited me out.
Book, I'm still on page 93. And we want to format some column labels, so they say select A26. So I'm going back up here to my name box, because this is a lot. So if it's a lot of cells, sometimes it's better just to type A26 to O26. The risk of typing, I just typed an O25. The risk of typing is you get it wrong, versus selecting them with the mouse, you can see them and say, yes, those are the ones I want. And again, in the real world, you're looking at cells and say, I want to change those, not somebody instructing you to change certain cells. Press enter, it should select that cell for you. So now we're up there. A26 to O26 are those titles across the top, all of them. And now they want us to use the dialog box launcher. And for which one? Font, number. Okay, so we're going over here. As it turns out, it doesn't matter which one. Most of those all link to the same dialog box launcher. They just open a separate tab. Well, you know what I'm talking about. That little guy right there, the dialog box launcher. Click it, and it opens this up. And now we can do all kinds of things to a cell, like change its format, like change its alignment, including rotation, like change its font, like change its border, like change its fill. Good news is we're not going to be messing with protection. This is another way that you can change a lot of stuff about one group of cells all at once. And just as a demo, they want you to come over here to the font and play this font and change the color to white. Ooh, okay. Color to white. Don't click on OK because we're not done yet. Unfortunately, you can see the preview here. Now we've got the old polar bear and snowstorm trick. Can't see anything, but we're not done yet, I hope. In the Fill tab, change it to red. And then click on OK. And now we got white text in red. That's the same color scheme we had in the documentation. So we got some consistency here, which is also important to show that all these things belong together. A27 to A46, so that's these state labels. I'm using my mouse because those are pretty easy to select. In the background color, oh, they say use format cells again, but watch. Here's another way. Right click and format cells from there. That opens the same dialog box we just saw. So that's lots of different ways. Again, you can use a dialog box launcher, or you can just use these buttons, whatever suits you. Or right click. And now in the Fill tab, we're supposed to use which gray. I think it's one of these darker ones. And that was kind of dark. Which one do you want here? I'm looking gray, first color in the 7th column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or is it that one? That one. First color in the seventh column. So that gray right underneath no color. Click. Kind of dark. Okay. In the Font tab, change the color to white. Dark colors usually look best with a white text on them. And font size, over here, 16. So the convenient thing about Format Cells dialog box is you can change all kinds of things at once. The downside to me is I don't get a preview. If I use the ribbon buttons, I get previews on most of those changes that I just made, and I can see how it looks. Click on OK. And now we got nice gray boxes over there with white text. All right, now we're supposed to add a double border to the state results. This is a lot of cells, so let's go into the name box and type. Oh, I hate doing this. A27 through O33. Looks like all of them. Whew. Okay. And then in the border tab, we're going back, Format Cells. So once again, I'm going back to Format Cells. I'm going to use my dialog box launcher. And here is the border group. Now this is a little tricky. First time I saw this, I couldn't quite figure out what all this stuff was. What this allows you to do is first pick a style of border. Do you want solid ones, dashed ones, double ones, and there's probably even a few others. And then what color border do you want? And you have to do it in this order, otherwise things get a little confused sometimes. And then where do you want to apply them? Outline, none, everything, inside, outside. Or what's really cool, you can go ahead and play with these. So you can turn off individual ones just by clicking on these boxes, turn on diagonals. Boy, that's gross. Right. Play with them until you get the effect that you want. According to the text, we want a double line, so I'm going to choose this double line. And they want it applied to the outline. So now what I've done is I've selected this big, huge selection of cells. And I'm going to put a double border around just the outside. So that's what the outline is for. So click on outline here. You can see in the example that it's a double line. And click on OK. Right? Oh, wait a minute. Didn't tell me to yet. Next page. Click on OK. Did it all the way around. But it only did it for the state of Wisconsin. Now we're supposed to do it for all the rest. So I'm going to click here, and there's a double line, and there's a double line on the side that's kind of hard to see, and there's a double line on the top. But now for every state, they want us to do that. Now, this is painful. There is no easy way to do this, however. So I'm going to click on Minnesota and drag sideways. And notice because that's a merged cell, it's easy to drag. I can also control scroll and shrink my numbers down so I can see better. Now here's the part they don't teach you in the book. You ready? Those of you doing your own work, you may want to listen to this one. The last thing that I did was put a double border around, double outline border around something. In Microsoft Excel, and I think this works in Microsoft Word too, if you press the F4 key, that's the repeat key. Do it again. F4. Boom. And I get double lines again. And so now that makes this a little easier. Highlight Iowa. And as long as you don't do anything but select, you can press F4 and repeat. I bet you they won't let you do that in the test, but you can do it in the homework. You can do it on my little case problem, F4. And if they ever write the program to make it smart enough, that'll make life a little easier. Then I don't have to go to borders, outline, I just do F4. Do it again and again and again. And I use this a lot. F4. And now I got double borders on all of those. Do a couple of them, try it, call it good. While I was yakking, I did them all. If yours doesn't, I was telling Ben during the break, if your example in class doesn't look exactly like mine, it's not going to be a big deal. If it doesn't look exactly the same. Now, if you do the case problem, it doesn't look like mine, that's a little different. There, I want you to fix it. What's more important are the formulas. You have those right, particularly in these examples in class, because you might want to copy the formulas or look at them as a reference if they're wrong. But you can't tell how I got these borders on here anymore. Right? And now Colorado with its bigger font needs to be a little bigger because it doesn't look good. There. But you can't tell how I got those borders on there. Did I do them one at a time? Did I do them as a collection? What did I do? You can't tell. And so if your format's not the same, it's not something you're going to go back to and look at later anyways. So So now I got double borders everywhere, and we finally, boy, we haven't saved in a while. That's dangerous. Save. I didn't even give mine a new name. As long as you're not on the iDrive anymore, it should be okay. It doesn't matter what you call it, as long as you can find it. And now let's keep plugging along. We're in phase 2. The second part of this tutorial wants us to use the average function. And there's something I don't like about this unit is that it doesn't. Let me bring my book up here so you can see I'm talking about. I'm on page 98 now. So I blew by a lot of stuff. What I don't like is there's not a lot of formulas in this chapter, but we'll make up for it in the next one. Great. All right, but we'll make up for it in the next one. In this one, I want to talk about the average function. Not too hard to talk about. How do you calculate the average? You add them all up, and then you divide by the number of items that there are. Well, that's cool, but Excel makes it even easier than that. There is an auto function that calculates the average. Excel knows how to do an average. It's not hard. So you tell it, here's a bunch of cells, give me the average. Just like the sum function where we said, here's a bunch of cells, give me the total. So what do we want the average of? It's supposed to go to cell P26. We can type that in here too to jump there quickly. In the formula bar, type P26, press enter, get rid of the other junk that's in there. P26, enter, and it takes me to that cell. Brand new cell. Type the word average, press enter. Ooh, it formatted it. I wish I could tell you when that happens and when it doesn't. Because the cells next to it are red and white, it figures you probably want red and white here too, don't you? Yeah, I do. Thank you. Sometimes it doesn't do it. Sometimes it does. If it doesn't, use the format painter. Click, click, paint it. But it did it for me. Now we want to calculate the average. Calculating the average is exactly the same as calculating an auto sum, but we have to drop down the list. So go to the auto sum button and drop down the list, and notice that Excel can automatically calculate sums, averages, numbers, counting, maxes, minimums, whatever you want. We want the average, so click. Excel says, oh, I know, you want those cells, don't you? Yep, press enter. What do you mean, no? Found a problem. Really? What's the problem? Why didn't it use those cells? Highlighted them. Let me try that. Did yours do the same thing? Make an error? Did yours work? Good. So I'm going to try it one more time. Oops. Wrong box. Average. Ooh, there they all are. And I must have pushed the wrong key. Press enter, and there we go. Now, I already know that I want that aligned with the other one, so I'm going to change that right away. Align it to the top. I'm not going to wait for the book to tell me. Unfortunately, you probably have to. Then it says select O27. What? 27? Oh, and replace it with N27. What is it doing here? We did the wrong thing, didn't we? Look at this. It says C27 to O27. O27's got the total in it. You include the total in your average, you get a mess. So let's just fix the formula. I already typed it. Come in here where it says O. I'm going up to the formula bar. Click next to the O. Put in an N. I'm going lowercase. Doesn't matter. And now I get an average of 29,000, which is what the book says I should get. So be careful. Okay. Sometimes Excel says, oh, this is what you want. And you go, thanks. Yeah, it is. And nope, it's not. In that case, we needed to tweak it. What happened?
I have some characters in the box.
Okay, delete it. Okay, and I'll build the formula again. Just click in that cell, auto sum, average. Okay, and now look here, look up here for a second. There's the O. That's not right. N. Now notice it selects only through December. Press enter, and it's good. Let it be. Don't worry about it. Try the one underneath it. See if it works there. Auto sum, average. Nope, didn't do that very well, did it? So that one underneath is not a good choice. So just leave it, man. I'll help you with it in a bit. So That didn't work very good in this one because the average, just like the sum, said, oh, there's a number up above. I'll bet you want that, don't you? And the answer is no, I don't. What's easier here is just use the fill handle. I want this same formula for all these rows. Grab that little box, drag it all the way down. Every one of them automatically updates to use its appropriate row in the C7s. We've already top aligned, we copied the formula, and now we're good with that. Okay, got all those sorted out. Applying cell styles. Remember from Microsoft Word that whenever you have a theme, with the theme comes a bunch of styles. That was probably a fun chapter trying to sort all that stuff out, but you just kind of follow along. We also have a theme here and we have certain styles. Book wants us to select B4, so I'm going all the way to the top. There I am in A1 and they want B4. And they say use the cell styles. Here they're not real easy to access. In Microsoft Word I thought they were a little easier. The cell styles button is on the home tab over near the right hand side. And from there we can choose a bunch of styles. These are predefined. The book or the online test is going to tell you use the title style, use the heading 1 style, use whatever style. You just pick it. Book says heading 1. So okay, heading 1. There, I got it. Not too tough. Move the pointer over cell B4. There we are. Oh, we weren't supposed to click it. We were just supposed to look. Okay, they really want the title style. So go back and choose. Notice you can touch and preview. It's the advantage of the ribbon. We want the title style. And select B5 to F5. That's this category titles up across the top here. Choose accent 3 for the cell style. So accent 3, they're down. The ones without the percents are at the bottom. So there's accent 3. Select A25. Title style. And then A3. Empty cell. So we can see all the different styles. Everything's cool. Real easy to use the styles that are built in. The next part we've already learned about, and we'll do it a little bit more here, is we can copy formats using the format painter. In the documentation sheet, so I'm switching sheets. Documentation sheet. We want to copy these into the other worksheet. So I'm going to select A1 and A2. And then I'm going to click the format painter. Switch back to sales report. And click in A1. Remember, when you copy multiples, you just have to click the top. And it did it, sort of. For some reason, it didn't do my big font here in this one for big flavor, so I'm going to have to do that again. Click on the big flavor cell, A2, highlight big flavor, and make it size 14. Already did that. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. We can do multiple formats. Copy B4 to F12. So here's B4 to F12, all the way down here. As long as the place we're copying to has the exact same number of rows in the exact same shape, we can copy all of those formulas. So what we're going to do is copy these down to here. It's not going to do the stores, but it's going to do everything else. So I'm going to use my paintbrush. That says copy these formulas, and then simply click in B14. As long as they're the same shape and size, you can do that. If they're different, that ends up causing more trouble than it's worth sometimes. C23 to E23. C23 to E23, that's that much, comma 2 for the format. No, comma 0, excuse me. What commas? They're not there. Well, what this did is it aligned. Notice how these numbers are lined up with a little bit of space on the right? That space wasn't there before. And so the 0 column didn't line up and the tens column didn't line up. By simply formatting it for comma, comma includes that little extra space. That's why we did it. And this one probably needs to be %2. So percent and then increase the decimal places to 2. The book talks about copying with the paste formats or paste special. Okay, let me bring that up here because I don't think we're actually going to do it. And I'm on page 103, so a few pages to go here. 103, it talks about how you can use the paste. When you paste text or paste anything, you get paste options. A little box pops up. If you click on that little guy, you get some options, which includes an option to paste just formulas. I think it's this one. So that's another way that you can copy formulas. There's also paste special. You can right click and paste special and then paste. So there's a couple of other ways. Not sure if the chapter text is going to make you go through that. It's just a different way to copy formulas. I'll be surprised if they make you do it. We can find and replace text and format. Now this one I'm pretty sure they're going to make us do. So we're going to find and replace. I like to call it search and replace myself because it's been around that long. I used to call it search, but now it's find and replace. And just like in Microsoft Word, you can use the shortcut key, Control H, or you can find the button on the Home tab, which is always hard for me, but that guy there, sometimes it's smaller, to search and replace. What we're going to do here, we're just going to do one, is we're going to do a search and replace. In these addresses that they have down here, somebody abbreviated all of the streets, lanes, and avenues. And now the boss said, I don't want any abbreviations. Change them all. That's a lot of them. Well, do a search and replace. So I'm going to press Control H because that's search and replace. And it's going to ask me, what do you want to find? I want to find drive, dr dot. Capital D. I don't think this is case sensitive, but when you say replace with, you want to capitalize it properly. Tab. Replace that with a drive, the word drive. And if you're brave, you can replace them all, or you can say find next, replace, find next, replace, replace, replace. It'll find them one at a time. You go ahead and be brave. Replace all. I'm going to show you what happens when you hit find next. It found that box. Tell it to replace. When you do that, it automatically finds the next one. There it is. Replaces that one, finds the next one, finds the next one, and you can verify that, yes, these are the ones I want. I mean, that would be dangerous. What if I had doctors in here? They just messed up their titles and turned them into drive. Oops. So if you're pretty sure things are going well, then go ahead and hit replace all. And then the book says, now do the same for every avenue and streets and road. No, I'm not doing it. It's the same process, so we're not going to do it again. What is cool, though, is we can also use search and replace, and here we are. Right? Go ahead and leave that box open to replace certain colors. If you want to do search and replace on colors, you have to do the options, so turn the options on, and notice now there's a formatting. Okay. And I think they probably want us to take the drives out, so take the drives out. Oh, man. Sorry, I just pushed the key on the wrong keyboard. I'm on page about 104. Be right with you. ex_104. That's a mess. Okay. Okay, back here again. Took that out. Now I need to take this out. In the Format button for the first one, we're going to choose Fill, and we're going to do Format. Click the Format button, Format, and then click the Font button, Color, and choose White. What this says is find me all the cells whose font is white. Click on OK. Kind of hard to see that anything's going on there. That's okay. Then click the Format button of the other one, and we're going to replace it with, if you just click that button, it pops up. You don't have to drop it down. We're going to replace it with text that's yellow. Standard color yellow. And so now I click OK on that one. And now I've got white text, kind of hard to see, and yellow text. And when we do a replace all, it'll go through all of this white text, including my titles, etc. And it made 32 replacements, and you can see that all of it's done quickly. So if that darn boss of yours says, that's really nice, but can you change all that white text to yellow? It's not a cell by cell by cell thing. It's not even a control drag to select a collection of cells. It's just a search and replace. It can be a lot easier, and that way you don't miss one. The other thing to watch out for here is when you're doing search and replace is that it's within the sheet. If that had been workbook instead, it would have changed them in my documentation sheet as well, which I didn't want to do in this case. You can close that, and now you can scroll and look around and see that all the white text is turned yellow. One other thing they suggest, press Control H again to bring it back. Notice that the formats are still here. Whoa. If you come back and do another search and replace, now you're saying find the word drive. I'm just messing up my typing. That's white. Ew. And change it with drive that's yellow. No, no, no. So once you've done your formatting test here, they suggest that you clear the format. That's probably a good idea. Because notice I closed my search box. And then I opened it back up again, and those format settings were still there. The text wasn't, but the format still was. So whenever you do with format, search, and replace, probably a good idea to undo those. The replace box is open. Go ahead and close it. The book's going to talk about themes a little bit. That's in this version. I wish there was a design tab. I don't understand why in Word and Access and PowerPoint Microsoft inserted a design tab, but they didn't do it here. If we want to work with themes, we have to go to page layout. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why wouldn't that be under design? Maybe in Excel 2017 they'll put it in the right place. Who knows? But here's the themes, and just like Microsoft Word, you can click on themes, and there's all these themes that are built in that are supposed to be beautiful, and you can pick different ones, and you can preview, and some of these are not so beautiful. And then in the end, they make you pick one, and then the boss says, wait a minute, we have a standard. We have to use Office, and you have to put it back again. Undo. Puts them all back. So you can easily change themes to something else. And then put it back. This next step, very important. It's called conditional formatting. Conditional formatting lets us highlight cells, but only if they meet certain conditions. So we can bring out, by highlighting, certain cells that meet special conditions, like the top salesperson, or the top 10 salespeople, or the people who have too much weight, or people who don't have enough weight, or whatever we want to highlight. It's called conditional formatting. To format, we highlight cells. So the book says highlight cells E6 to F12. E6. That's this one to F12. And, so with the control key now, and E16 to F22, these ones down here that correspond to it. F22, all the way down there. You highlight the cells first. It's like just about everything else. You highlight the cells first, then apply the formatting. In this case, it's conditional formatting, so we go back to the Home tab. And here's the conditional formatting button. Drop that down and you get all kinds of choices. You can do data bars. That's an advanced topic in intermediate Excel. Color scales. We're going to be doing highlight cell rules. And you'll be doing some top and bottom rules. What if I don't want the top 10? What if I want the top 5? Don't worry. Just use that. You'll be able to change the number. Highlight cells. What are we supposed to be using here? Less than. We want to know who's got some less than values. Less than what? According to our instructions, less than 0. So you type 0 in that box. And notice we can already preview it. And here's all the values that are less than 0. And we're supposed to format them with just red text. You can drop this down and pick whatever formatting you want. If you don't like the ones they provide for you, you can customize them. But in our case, red text should be fine. So now my negative values are appearing in red. But only the negative ones. And to prove that, they say, well, let's change a value. Let's go to cell D8. So that's here. Click on OK. And D8. That's that one. And we're supposed to enter 4576000. What did I do? Put it in the wrong place again. Let's try it on this keyboard. 4576000. What that should do is change some numbers so that these become positive. And notice they automatically change and they no longer have the negative formatting. You do it in advance. Often you do this on empty cells. You can format empty cells. And then once you put stuff in there, then they're pre-formatted. Undo. And now it's automatically back again. So as the data changes, if numbers are yellow or numbers are negative, they turn red. If they're positive, they stay black. You can control all that. As I mentioned before, you can also do a top and bottom rule. Let's do a top and bottom rule. We're supposed to select P27 to P46. So I'm going to type up here P27 to P46. It's all those totals over there. So they're selected for me already. And when you highlight them like that, notice down here, it's a new button. This is new in Excel 2013. Sometimes hard to see. It looks like just a little spreadsheet thingy. It's called the Quick Analysis button. If you click on that, it gives you some options for greater than, top 10, top 5. Gives you some quick options for those. You can use this instead of the conditional formatting button that's up there. So you can use this, or if this button is handy, you can use it. Click the top 10%, and it made them red. Well, what if I don't want them red or any of those kind of things? I guess we weren't supposed to use that. How do we change them? I'm going to undo. And I'm going to go back to conditional formatting. They were just showing us that occasionally the quick analysis button is handy. But we need different things, top and bottom. We want the top 10. Not really, or do we? No, we want the top 5. So you change this, either with the arrows or you can type in there. And since this is a good thing, we're not going to make them red. We're going to make them green on green. So green on dark green. Okay. And now as you scroll, you can see the top 5 numbers. And if somebody else's numbers are wrong, maybe this 30,000 was supposed to be 100,000. Don't follow here because I don't think it's in the book. 100,000. Enter. That's going to make this guy a top seller. Maybe not. Put 100. Oh, that was, what did I just change? The total. Or no, that's December. Well, that's the top average, so he's going to have to go up quite a bit to get to the 50. So that, but if he changes significantly, this will also change, and somebody else gets bumped off the list. All happens automatically when you're doing these top numbers. So I'm going to undo that, put it back. Because this is the average. We're highlighting the top 5 averages. And it was harder to change that. If you want to remove conditional formatting, should be able to highlight all those cells and go to conditional formatting, and there's a clear. I'm just going to do it for one here temporarily. You can clear the rules from the selected cells or the whole sheet. If you want to do certain cells, highlight them first. They don't need you to do that in the book, so I don't need you to do it. Creating a formatting legend. How does somebody looking at this, how do they know that these are the top 5? So what they suggest is that we go to P49, which is down here at the bottom, right there. And in there, type light green. This is kind of goofy. Just disconnect that corner. Light green. Enter. And then this is tricky. How do I make that the same color as these? You use conditional formatting. So we're going to go to conditional formatting, and we're going to highlight cell rules that contain text. And notice it says light green already. It's got the right text. So you just change this to the green on green. And ta-da, now it's green. In the box next to it to the left, they want you to type, oh, what am I supposed to type? Next page. Oh, they want this centered just to make it look a little better. That's minor. And over here, we're supposed to say top 5 stores. Top 5 stores. There. Now whoever looks at the green stuff knows what it means. And just as another example real quick of cell styles, we're going to change this to explanatory text. So that's cell styles, explanatory text. It's right underneath the word good. Okay, let's keep plugging here. The next thing we're going to talk about is how do we format this so that it's ready for printing. Let's do a print preview. File. Print. No, that's not what we want. Backup. If we want to do a print preview, we just go down here and do the page layout. Pardon me, one more. Page break preview. There we go. And now if I go back to the beginning, A1, I can see a page 1, and if I shrink this down a little bit, change my zoom to something ridiculously low, there we go. You can see page 1, page 2, 3, 4, 5. If I print this, I'm going to get these 2 pages, blank ones. In between page 2 and 4, I'm going to get those pages. That's not good. So if you need to print, it would be nice if I could pull those out of the loop, and you do that by creating a print area. Set the print area of the worksheet. Change the zoom level to 80. There's 80. Okay. And then the book suggests that you select A1 to F24. So everything but the empty pages. A1 to F24. Okay. And then A25. Got a little carried away there. Using the control key, because this is wider, right? Select the stuff down here without the blank pages, all the way down to the bottom. So that we get all that stuff. To make that the print area, this is what will print when I print, not the blank pages, because I didn't select them. You go to page layout, print area, set. And notice now those 2 pages disappeared, and I have page 1, page 2, page 4, page 6, but now it just changed them on me. Page 1, 2, and there's 3, there's 4, 5, 6, and those pages are gone. So that'll save me putting the paper back in the printer. Doesn't print on them, so it's really not that big a deal. So that's called a print area. We can insert some page breaks because these pages aren't printing or splitting very well. Book suggests that we grab this dotted line here, point to the dotted line directly to the right of column L. Oh, this one. You get a double-headed arrow. You see it up there? And drag it away. Now we get automatic page breaks. Click column I, header. And then we go to breaks. Right here, we tell it to insert a page break. So it'll put one there instead. Or not. Do it? Yes, it did. Put one there. Point to the page break located in F31. F31. Okay, so you can set page breaks, you can remove them. This isn't going to work very well. I'm getting crunched on time here, so I'll let you fight with these a little bit more as time goes on. Actually, this one's supposed to go away. It said F31, so if I click here at F31, I think I can right click and reset. No, page, where's my remove? Point to F31 till the pointer changes and then drag. This one's supposed to go away as well. So we take this one and just drag it away. There we go. Now I lost this one, it's gone. I insert a break. Now we've got what the book has. Finally, I think, I want to add print titles. If I were to print this, these titles that describe what this is all about, these titles, and the column titles, Wisconsin, don't print on the other pages. But you can tell them to repeat. That's print titles. So let's point to print titles. Make sure you can see the top of your worksheet. And notice there my print area is defined manually. But here's the rows to repeat at the top. I want these at the top of every single page. So I'm going to click there and then just highlight A1 and A2. This box disappears temporarily while you're selecting them, and then it comes back. We can also do a repeat to the left. If the page is too wide, we can repeat stuff on the left. And select columns A and B. A and B, really? Oh, I think there might be take it out. There's A and B, and now A and B come in here. So columns A and B that include all of these things, that include the names, will be attached to this data over here. Click on OK. Oh, that's right, it doesn't show it to you here. So I want to go back to print titles and do a print preview. There we go. Got that. Go to the next page. Got the titles, got that. Then when I go to the next page, I still got the states. Here's the totals, and I still got the top. So all of that is appearing on every page. Again, it's much easier when the book tells you what to do versus when you have to figure out yourself what do you want at the top of every page. Like Microsoft Word, let's go back if you went to page preview. Like Microsoft Word, we can do headers and footers. The book suggests when you're doing headers and footers that you use the page setup dialog. Let me quickly show you that you can also use this page layout button down here at the bottom half of the screen, or bottom quarter of the screen. If you click here, you can add a header here. And when you click there, you get header buttons for page numbers and current styles and stuff like that. And then you can put something else in the center. And you can put something else on the right. I'm zoomed in a little too much here, so I could zoom out. The one thing you can't do is zoom. You can't change text when you're in the header. So now I just clicked in my worksheet someplace and I can zoom out a little bit so I can see what's going on. Left, center, and right. And you can type stuff in there. Alternatively, now I'm going to go back to normal view. Can't even switch views when you're in the header. You got to get out, then switch views. Still zoomed in too much, so I'm going to zoom back out. And I'm going to use page layout, page setup, dialog launcher. That will bring you here and you can do your headers and footers. The reason they bring you in here is there's a feature here that you can't do the way I just showed you, and that's to have a different first page. I believe in Microsoft Word you went through a lot of rigmarole to create section breaks, right? Sound familiar? To create section breaks so that you could have a different title page than the rest. Here you simply say different first page. And then you can create custom headers or custom footers. Let's simply create a custom header. Now we'll do them both. But notice because we said different first page, we have a first page header button. These headers that we set only appear on the first page. These appear on all the rest. We can put whatever we want in here. So in the left section, let's put in your name. Just type your first name. Good enough. And when the book says enter the date, enter the file name, enter the worksheet, enter the page numbers, that's all done with buttons, just like it was in Microsoft Word. That button inserts page numbers. That button inserts the number of pages. We'll use that in a second. This button gives you the date. You really want it, you can display the time. And these are automatic updating fields. This is the file name. This is the file name. This is the path. So most of the time they're going to ask you for the file name, and this is called sales report or whatever it's called. This is the worksheet name. Doesn't say it, it says sheet name, but in the book they refer to it as the worksheet name, the tab name down at the bottom. So let's insert that one in the center just for grins. And notice it says at tab. That's not what's going to display. It's going to replace it with the tab name. What's nice about that is if we change this, that automatically changes. In the right section, let's add the date. You get an at date. Yes, you can type it. I don't usually do that. I usually just click on the button. Let's click on OK. And now you get a preview. There's my name. There's the sheet name. There's the current date. This is usually referred to as the print date because it changes. Every time you print it, that date changes. Come back to this tomorrow, that date changes. Let's create a custom footer. Notice there's a first page footer. We can make it different if we wish. Follow the instructions in the book. Now let's say I want the page numbers in here. There is no option like there was in Microsoft Word with pre-formatted headers and footers. You have to type your own word page in a space. And then this is the page number. Space of space. You got to put your own spacing and all that stuff in there. And here's the number of pages. Notice it's at page and at pages, so slightly different. Click on OK, and you'll get a preview of it. Page 1 of 1, that's just a preview. The real stuff would have the right page numbers in it. From in here, we can also set the margins. The book says change the left margin to 1 inch for some reason. I can't seem to get it with the arrow, so I'm just going to type it. 1. Again, follow the book, what it asks, or your online test to do what it asks you to. Here's another option that's very handy. Print this horizontally centered on the page. So instead of smushing it all the way over the left margin, put it in the center of the page, or if it doesn't take up much room up and down, center it up and down. They're available if you need them. So we changed the margins. What else are we supposed to do? Save, and hallelujah, we are done. So that's what kind of things you're going to be doing in this unit. Look like a lot of you have already been plowing through it. Did a little better today, only 5 minutes after 8. Your assignment, case 2. As I mentioned last week, I'll give you the same options, though I don't think anybody took me up on it. If you would rather quit now and go home, you may, as long as you send me case 2 before lunch, before noon tomorrow. Or you can stay here and I'll check you off and give you your 100 points while you're here. But if you send it to me and it looks good, by tomorrow noon, I'm happy. So if you're exhausted because he went so darn fast again, I'll give you that option. Your choice.